What's up, music lovers? Thanks for clicking on my channel. A little while ago I did a video listing the top 10 best Genesis songs from the Peter Gabriel era, in my opinion, which you can check out right here. This video is a companion to that, but it's not going to be the top 10 best Phil Collins era Genesis songs. Instead, it's going to be the top 10 best Genesis songs from 1976 to 1981. That might seem a bit odd, but I chose those years specifically because before Genesis went all out pop rock, they had some really cool progressive stuff in these years, and it often gets written off as not nearly as progressive, but I think it's some of their best work. Maybe in the future I'll do a top 10 Genesis songs from 1982 to the end of their career to kind of round out the trilogy. And before we get into it, if you're as big of a music nerd as I am, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, all that YouTube stuff. It's a cliche to ask, but it really does help the channel grow, so thank you in advance for that. And with all that preamble out of the way, let's just get into it and start talking about some Genesis. And coming in at number 10 is No Reply at All from Abacab. This song is such a good example of how progressive Genesis could be, even when they were just verging on going full-blown pop. This song is a pop song, it was a radio hit, but when you compare it to what you typically think of as a pop song, it's really weird and off the wall. I mean, the song has a refrain, but it doesn't really have what you would think of as a traditional chorus, and Tony Banks is doing some insane stuff on the keyboards. The horn section on the song gives it a unique vibe. It's very funky. If I remember correctly, the people who were playing horns on the song were from Earth, Wind & Fire. I also really love the call and response thing that Phil does with his voice and the horns towards the end of the song. Coming in at number 9 is Ripples from A Trick of the Tail. This is Rick Beato's favorite Genesis song, and it's easy to see why. The song feels like a very natural progression from the Peter Gabriel era, while still kind of hinting at where they'll go in the future. Steve Hackett's guitar lines during the bridge and how they harmonize with what Tony Banks is doing on the keyboard, stuff that sounds like it was inspired by Chopin, with those strings and synths in the background, is so beautiful. Anytime Steve Hackett gets to play acoustic guitar, his version of classical music, I'm all for it. The chorus is great, and in the context of the album, I love the way that the song just fades out. I also really enjoy the lyrics for this song, just dealing with getting over the past and accepting that it's never going to be the way it was, so just deal with it. Coming in at number 8 is the 11th Earl of Mar from Wind and Wuthering. That keyboard intro instantly grabs your attention, and Phil Collins is doing some really cool but also really subtle drum fills in the first verse. Mike Rutherford also has some absolutely insane bass lines in the chorus. Plus, at 1 minute and 53 seconds in, you get this out of nowhere change in feel where Phil Collins starts playing this more straightforward backbeat, and it's one of my favorite musical moments. Plus, for the instrumental break and the bridge, you get the keyboards and the guitars doing these really cool harmonized lines together before the whole band just kind of decrescendos before building it back up and slamming back into the verse for the end of the song. When talking about the music itself, I think that this is easily one of the best songs Genesis ever put out. The lyrics are... I mean, I don't know who decided to have Daddy You Promised be the refrain for the song and the hook, but it's okay because the music makes up for it. So for me, it's an easy choice to be in the top 10. Coming in at number 7 is the Ballad of Big from And Then There Were Three. This song is so good. It's a pretty fast song, but it still has such a great groove, and when the feel changes out of nowhere for the chorus, it really catches you off guard. Speaking of the chorus, you have Phil Collins layering up the vocal harmonies to just give it this huge sound. The guitar part in the song also has some really out there effects. It sounds more metallic, has a bit of a shimmer to it, and it blends really well with the keyboards. And it's really cool when you have someone who is not primarily a guitarist writing parts for guitar, because they're writing with the other instruments in mind more than a guitarist probably would, and so you get some really interesting stuff on songs like this. Coming in at number 6 is Duke's Travels from Duke. Duh. As far as 1980s Genesis goes, this song is their prog rock masterpiece. Phil Collins has this amazing jungle rock drum beat. It's the only way I can describe it, and the synths are just soaring over it. This song feels like it could have been written in the late 1960s or early 1970s. It fits right in with that era of progressive rock, but being that it came out in 1981, it has the production and the synthesizer sounds from the early 80s, so you get this really cool blend of old and new for the time into something that's really unique. When listening to it, it's easy to forget that this song came out on the same album as Misunderstanding. And at about 4 minutes and 45 seconds in, you get this absolutely insane moment on the drums where Phil Collins is playing the snare on the upbeat, but then he's just switching back and forth between that beat and these really smooth fills. Duke's Travels is pure genius and an easy pick to be one of the best Genesis songs. Coming in at number 5 is Robbery, Assault and Battery from A Trick of the Tail. This song kicks off with such a cool keyboard riff, and as the verse goes on, the keyboards are always doing these really cool counter melodies in the background. What gets this song so high up for me though is the instrumental break. At 2 minutes and 36 seconds in, you get this absolutely monstrous synthesizer solo while the rest of the band is in the background doing this crazy syncopated groove. The hits from the drums and the bass are so tight, and they're playing in like some insane time signature like 15/16 or maybe it's 13/8. I don't know, but it's fast, it's in an odd time signature, and every member of the band is just pulling their weight. Robbery, Assault and Battery is a good example of one of the more technical songs Genesis released, and you can probably say that for a lot of the songs on this album, which we'll get into more later. Coming in at number 4 is Down and Out from And Then There Were Three. The first song from the first album without Steve Hackett, and you can tell that the band felt like they really needed to prove themselves. Phil Collins' 5/4 drum beat gives such a driving pulse to the song, and so many of the fills he's doing are absolutely great. The one at 2 minutes and 35 seconds in really stands out to me for some reason. And the keyboard solo starting at 3 minutes and 38 seconds in is one of the best keyboard solos that Tony Banks ever wrote. Coming in at number 3 is Los Endos from A Trick of the Tail. I'm cheating here a little bit. It was really hard for me not to have all 8 of the songs from A Trick of the Tail on the list, but I made a compromise and I put this medley in there instead. Seriously though, this song has some of Phil's best drumming. The ride cymbal beat he's doing in the beginning when he's just playing on the bells, it's very jazz influenced, and it just sounds so effortless but also really difficult at the same time. The harmonies between the guitars and the keyboards at around 2 minutes and 50 seconds in is absolutely fantastic as well. The biggest reason the song is so high up on the list though is for that outro. The way the band reinterprets the songs they already played on the album, and that outro for when they go into that main riff that originally was in the song Squonk is just mind-blowingly good. I love how the keyboards are playing what the vocal melody used to be, and just, if you want to hear one of the best moments of Genesis post Peter Gabriel, go listen to the end of Los Endos. Coming in at number 2 is Blood on the Rooftops from Wind and Withering. You can also throw in Unquiet Slumbers for the sleepers and In That Quiet Earth, because these 3 songs are all kind of one big song. I love Steve Hackett's acoustic guitar playing, and the intro to this song is unbelievably beautiful. It's some of his best work he ever did on the acoustic. It sets the tone perfectly, and the rest of the song doesn't disappoint. It just gets better and better as it starts to build up and add in more instruments. By the time the drums come in at 2 minutes and 12 seconds in, it's just magical, for lack of a better word. I'm not a big fan of that word, but I mean, it describes the sound pretty well. The strings and the synthesizers in the verse feel like they were inspired by Debussy, which I love. And when Blood on the Rooftops is finally over, it just goes straight into 2 amazing instrumental songs, so yeah, I'm a pretty big fan. Coming in at number 1 is Dance on a Volcano from A Trick of the Tail. This song, incredible, doesn't do it justice. This is one of the most technical songs Genesis ever recorded, and it's also just one of the best songs progressive rock has to offer. The entire band is just on fire with their performances, and I didn't mean to have a pun there, since it's Dance on a Volcano, on fire. But for lack of a better word, they're just on fire in this track. Right from the start with that intro with the droning 7/8 guitar part and the full band coming in for those accents, that da 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 ba 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 da da. It sets the tone for something really amazing. It's just, right away it grabs you where you're like, oh man, this is gonna be an intense song. For the last minute and a half of the song, when it's just instrumental, we get some King Crimson Liquid Tension Experiment Dream Theater level insanity. The bass at 4 minutes and 55 seconds in, holy shit. And this is a pretty fast song as well, maybe not beats per minute wise, but definitely feel wise, and yet the whole band is pulling off these stops and these accents together as if it's the easiest thing in the world. Dance on a Volcano is not just one of the best Genesis songs from this era, it's one of their best songs period, and I think it's one of the best songs you'll ever hear. Without a doubt, Dance on a Volcano is an easy pick for number 1. So there you go, the top 10 best Genesis songs from 1976 to 1981. at least according to me at this particular moment in time. But enough about what I think. What are your favorite Genesis songs from this era? And what are some songs you feel like I left off the list that you would have liked to see? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, there's probably another video popping up around here you might also like. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, all that YouTube stuff. I also have an instrumental song out you might like called Waking Giant. There's a link down below if you want to check that out. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you at the next video.